in more than a year. They knocked off Michigan in set number 1, 25-19 a year ago, and now take set number 1 from number 5 Nebraska here in Bloomington.
And Larry, when we talked to Coach Aird earlier this week, we asked him about Nebraska, and he said, we know that this team is on another level. We're still rebuilding. Nebraska's on another level, but that's why you play the game. And tonight they're really playing the game.
So underway here in set number 2, he also said that, he thought they could play with Nebraska in stretches. He said, you'll look up, it's going to be 10-10, 15-15, and then all of a sudden you'll look and it'll be 21-15, and you'll think, what just happened? But what we saw in set 1 was those outsides were so dominant, and Nebraska had a hard time handling them that they walk away with set number 1 fairly easily, despite Nebraska making a run late in the first set.
Yeah, he said, we're with them, and then a couple hitting errors and one blocking error, but they're really limiting their errors and playing pretty clean volleyball.
Lofton pushes from the middle to even it at 1 here in set number 2. Middles for Indiana have been a bit quiet. Most of the damage has been done by Bierman and Edwards on the outside. 12 kills between the two. And combined, they're hitting around 400. Jazz Sweet with the tip. Right into the donut, gets the kill.
She catches Indiana's defense on their heels. Nice high hands. She doesn't drop her elbow early, so it looks like she's going in to swing hard. Catches Armstrong on her heels, doesn't take that first step towards the ball.
Tough serve by Alexi Sum, but a nice pass. Lofton. Schwarzenbach with the kill for Nebraska.
I asked Coach Cook, what does Callie need to do to get more involved offensively? And he put it pretty simply. She needs to be a force. She needs to have that middle mentality that every time she's going to get up in the air, the ball's coming to her, she's going to put it down.
As she came in her freshman year at Nebraska, trying to replace Brianna Holman, which is a tremendous task after the year that Holman had after transferring from LSU, but she was terrific, set the freshman blocking record at Nebraska, and that's really kind of been her forte is defensively. I think Nebraska's trying to develop her as a more offensive threat. So after the 4-zip run for Nebraska, Indiana will serve. Here's Lofton. Outside to Kubik, reigning Big Ten Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week, Maddie Kubik with the kill.
Maddie Kubik is really fundamentally sound. She's got a great approach, nice compact arm swing. She swings high off the hands.
Miscommunication in the back row, and they let it drop.
One of the first real communication breakdowns we've seen against this Indiana team. Doing a nice job of being out of system, but you see here, you got it, I got it, no one's got it. Right between the seams.
Targeting that seam between Bierman and Edwards in the back row. That does not clear the net, and Nebraska out to the quick start here in the second.
Smart to target those two players, Bierman and Edwards, because those are the two big attacking presence right now. If they can get them out of their game, force them to take a ball they don't want to, it'll also throw off their hitting approaches and limit their chances of getting an attack.
Hubers with the big swing. Nice set behind, and Hubers inside the antenna and down the line.
Fun to see Hayden Hubers hitting off of 1 foot because she's a former middle. That's where her comfort zone is. So nice to have her on the right side, but be able to run some of those more complex middle routes to throw off Nebraska's block.
Sweet, wrist away, does not terminate. Here's Malloy with the swing. Up to the pin. And despite being out of system, Bierman just finds a way to put it down.
So often when hitters are out of system, they're trying to walk the line between being aggressive and getting the ball in the court and playing defense. And Indiana's pushing that line. When they're out of system, they're going 100% aggressive.
Good touch on the block by Indiana, and then Nebraska's block. Schwartz and check that. That's Stivrins along with Sweet on the block.
And when you're going 100% aggressive every time you're out of system, you're going to have plays like that. So if Indiana wants to stay in this set, you roll that one under the net. You say, nice block, give me the next one.
Go, Nick, you're going.
Tough pass there, a little tight. And led to the hitting error, 4 touches on the Hoosiers. So Nebraska out to the quick lead here in the $3,017 million volleyball specific facility on the campus here in Bloomington. Out of the timeout. Aggressive swing by Edwards, not down. And then into the net on the swing by Nebraska, hitting error.
Nebraska is serving tough. They're keeping Indiana out of system, but what I like about what their passers are doing, more often than not, they're keeping it off the net, high in the middle of the court, rather than airing too tight to the net, which is giving them options to keep getting nice sets out to their outsides.
Stivrins unloads on that one. Nebraska back to a 4-point lead.
Stivrins is fast. So she beats the block off the ground there. Not only with her foot speed, but with her arm swing speed as well.
Maybe 2 of the top middles in the country reside in this conference, with Retke in Wisconsin and Stivrins at Nebraska. Out of the back row, Kubik rolls it right into the campfire.
Nice shot by Kubik. Lexi's son goes all the way across court to dig that tip. So there's no outside option. Kubik's one of the only options. And so Indiana's defense is reading her. She mixes it up, gets a nice kill.
Looks like they're checking on Haley Armstrong, the freshman libero. Just making sure she's okay. She says, I got it, coach. Out of the back row. Swing is long. Let's take a look at that previous swing, or previous point.
Watching Armstrong. Ooh, slip. Doesn't matter if your first step's towards the ball if your foot slips out from under you. Good first move.
Good serve by Kubik. Armstrong steps into bump set, and that swing is wide. No touch point for Nebraska. They're in the middle of a 6-1 run. Maddie Kubik out of West Des Moines, Iowa, to serve for Nebraska. One of the things that Nebraska continues to work on is their serving. You asked John Cook yesterday, you're a team that talks about serving and blocking and passing and, digs. Kind of where are you at in those 3? Serving was the one thing that he thought they had the biggest opportunity for improvement. Boy, what a save. One-handed out of press row. Outside, Sun again, big block. That'll bring them to their feet here in Bloomington.
Nice defensive effort by this Indiana squad. Looks like a dig off Fitzner's head, but she's telling her teammates, go for it. Edwards with the nice flick of the wrist. And then Daisha Lofton closing the block here. Reaching over, you see her as she jumps up, reach back into the court. And 2 things crowds love, defense and blocks.
And that was a BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance. What a save by Edwards. And then Stivrins with the tip and the kill. But when you're at home and you can win those big rallies after making a big play in the rally, that can really change momentum. So Nebraska now with the double sub, as Nicole Drunick will come in to serve, and she will set out of the back row for Nebraska. Also in to play in the front row is Aneshka Zabo, the outside hitter from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. On a swing and a kill by Megan Sloan on the right side.
And what Nebraska's looking to do with that double sub is to put a block out on Bree Edwards. Indiana reads that so nicely. Game plan, get it away from that big block, give it to Megan Sloan. She's open for a good hard swing.
Good recognition by Fitzner, who's now gone to the bench, and back in now to set out of the back row is Victoria Brizak. Back row. Good dig by Malloy on the swing from Kubik. And Lexi Sun picks up her 5th kill of the match.
Lexi's a player that has a lot of angles. You can't give her line, you can't give her cross, but here you see her matching some of Indiana's bangers on the outside, just swinging hard through the block.
Bump set out to Sun, just tries to push deep corner, not there. Good save by Knuckles. Bump set out to Sweet. Good rally here. Both teams scrambling out of system. Nebraska finally back in. Sweet. And into the net called on the Hoosiers. Point for Nebraska.
We talked early on, Larry, about how good Nebraska's defense is. Nice block touch, and then Kenzie Knuckles putting it all out there, covering her team. That's straight reactionary. You can't read off of a touch. You can read behind your blockers, but you have to react to the touch.
Service error for Nebraska, and you can see the touch by Edwards on the previous play right on the net. Here's John Cook. His team 7-1 in the Big Ten Conference, trailing only unbeaten Wisconsin, tied with Minnesota and Penn State. Schwarzenbach stabs at it, sent back over to Jazz Sweet. And Sweet powers through the block. That is the 7th kill for Jazz Sweet to lead Nebraska.
Good up here. Indiana playing some scrappy defense. Again, impressed with the swings they're getting out of system plays.
The tip try by Hubers. Nebraska was there. Kubik with the block. And Steve Aird will take a timeout. Nebraska on top here in set number 2, but trailing 1-0.
That's fun, where they know they're going to be supported by the university.
Well, there is the Crimson Guard, the student section for Indiana, who've really started to buy into volleyball here on campus. There's an aggressive swing. Sweet keeps it alive. Bump set by Knuckles out to Kubik. And it leads to a Nebraska point. 5-1 Husker run.
Nebraska pulling away. Indiana's defense not able to keep up with their hitters right now.
And we talked about Indiana out hitting Nebraska in set number 1. Here in the second set, Huskers hitting 391 to Indiana's 0 before that last kill from Lofton.
Jazz Sweet really doing a nice job on the right side for Nebraska. But Daisha Lofton with great swing, cutting it back.
And now Lofton will serve. Chases down the bad pass, and Kubik makes the best of a good bump set out to the pin and gets the kill.
2 in a row for Kubik, and she sure doesn't look like a freshman. Those are out-of-system plays, hard swings. She's seeing forehands in front of her. Indiana's block is there, but she's swinging high, getting touches. Very smart, advanced play for a freshman.
Yeah, just very confident and poised on the floor. You know, she's played at the highest levels, playing on the 20 and under U.S. national team. She enrolled early at Nebraska, went overseas and played in Asia during Nebraska's trip. In fact, John Cook said he saw flashes of her in Asia that really encouraged him. And what we've seen over these last 2 matches, as she is the current Big Ten Player of the Week, is what he saw earlier in the year in Asia. Ace for Nebraska.
Indiana caught in that rotation again where you have Bierman passing next to Edwards. Again, both the big firepowers right now for Indiana, serving that seam, getting them to make errors, taking them out of the offense. Kenzie Knuckles doing a nice job.
Nebraska 4 away from evening this at 1 set apiece here at Wilkinson Hall. Bump set out to Kubik. Another swing off the top of the block. And Kubik's going to get a lot of those out-of-system swings, but she's been effective in that role.
Right, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Kenzie Knuckles giving her a nice set and a hard set to hit, though, because it's coming from behind her. You can't see the block in front of you, but she feels it. She knows it's there, and she swings high. Does a nice job second time around.
And how about the job of Kubik to regather?
Get off the net, work hard in transition so you don't have a jump and swing. She gets some power from that fast footwork.
Here's Emily Fitzner, the setter out of San Diego, California, Torrey Pines High School. Future setter for this Hoosier program. Like the first Under Armour AVCA All-American to ever commit at Indiana. Steve Aird doing a great job already in his second year. Dad played basketball at Stanford. Her brother played for Indiana last year. Mom played volleyball at Hawaii. That's good genes.
Athletic genes for sure.
Sweet tries the cut, but just wide. Point for the Hoosiers. And Nebraska will take a timeout. 22-13. Nebraska hit its duels in here, but this is really a volleyball-specific facility. 3,000 seats, state-of-the-art, and really continues to expand on the Big Ten's commitment to this sport. And one of the reasons it's year in and year out the top conference in the country for volleyball. So out of the timeout, Stivrins gets the kill. On the slide, Stivrins and Kubik with the block. Looked like Kubik got the hand on it.
Kubik does a nice job of helping out following that middle hitter. Nice eye progressions following hitters, not the ball.
So set point for Nebraska. Tough pass out of the back row. Miller with the overpass. Stivrins on the slide, closes.
Success in the first set was matching up with Nicklin, the setter. She's a smaller blocker. She's aggressive in the front row, can take up space, but smaller, and they've got those two big outsides that were taking advantage of it. Nebraska picked up their serving, picked up their defense, and turned things around in the second set.
It's all ready to go here in set number 3. Opening service error for the Hoosiers. As the match even at 1 apiece, and that is the first service error of the match for Indiana. Nicklin Hames, who we said off the top did not practice all week for Nebraska. She was battling a virus. Second time this year that she's had some sort of virus and missed some practice time. And that was destroyed on the outside by Brianna Edwards.
We said the good matchup for Indiana was hitting over Nicklin Hames, but here, big block for Nebraska. Sweet Schwarzenbach, but Schwarzenbach doesn't close it, doesn't get hip to hip with Jazz. Jazz is floating out instead of planting her feet and going straight up so that her middle can find her. Leaves a hole.
What a bump set by Jazz Sweet. She had to chase that down through the bump at the far pin and put it right on point. Watch this.
Headers out. Wow.
And
location.
Holy smokes. Overpass and just out. I want to remind you, you can tweet us during this match tonight. Just use the hashtag BTN Block Party. We'll be showing your tweets throughout the night this evening, so please fire us a tweet. If you're watching this Nebraska and Indiana match, use the hashtag BTN Block Party. Good dig by Hames. And Jazz Sweet picks up kill number 8 to lead Nebraska.
Jazz, pretty terminal. Nice dig, Nicklin Hames. She's a setter that thinks about defense and then threads the needle. Kendall Bierman giving her that line.
Good start here again in set number 3. And another ace for Nebraska. 4-zip Husker run. And Indiana will make a substitution in the back row as Megan Coors, the senior out of Indianapolis Cathedral High School, will jump into the back row to handle passing duties. And let's see who Lexi targets. They go right at her. Knuckles steps in with the bump set. Kubik is long, no touch, point for Indiana.
Indiana looking to get some of that, as Coach Steve Aird said, mojo back after that long Indiana run.
Lofton serve. Tried to go wrist away, but a bit wide for Schwarzenbach. Back-to-back points now for the Hoosiers. Up to the pin, good block on that right side for the Hoosiers. Hames runs the middle. Schwarzenbach got a fingertip on it. Bierman, just long, point Nebraska.
Bierman still swinging like she was swinging in the first set, high and hard. Just doesn't have it. I'll use Steve Aird's word again, that mojo, where they were just sailing through that first set. Really successful on the outsides.
Quick run in the middle there by Brizak. Wasn't there. And then the block on the left side. And a little stare across the net from Jackie Armour.
Coach Steve Aird described Jackie Armour as an aggressive human. Sometimes her high fives can be a little too intense, so we saw some of that there on that block.
Armour, the transfer from LSU. Short serve. Leaves Nebraska flat-footed, finds the floor. Great serve there by Emily Fitzner.
Fitzner excited about that one. Like you said, Larry, leaves Nebraska flat-footed. They don't know what to do with that. Ball dropped off a table.
Not usually a donut when you're serving, right?
Right.
There was there. Boy, missed time, but Stivrins always seems to have the ability to better that ball.
Nice adjustment. Like you said, mistimed, not a great connection. We haven't seen a lot of great connections in the middle on Nebraska. Everything's been a little bit out of kilter, but Stivrins jumps up, adjusts in the air, takes a mini swing, but gets a lot of power behind it.
Stivrins hitting .353 with 8 kills. Out of the back row. Sun is dug by Coors. Bump set out to Bierman, not there. On the slide. Lauren Stivrins with her 9th.
There's the connection we like to see between Haynes and Stivrins. Stivrins does such an excellent job of keeping the ball out in front of her. She chases it, and that builds up so much power that she carries through her arm swing.
Service error on Nebraska. Pulls the Hoosiers back to within 2. Cameron Malloy back in now, will serve.
Setter's live here, Emmy.
Great angle and a kill by Brianna Edwards. Her 10th of the match. Now with double-digit kills.
Thanks, Larry. Off of a great dig by Cameron Malloy off the block touch, so she's reading. She can't anticipate where the ball's going to go. You have to read, watch, take your first step towards the ball.
Tried to use the hands, did Kubik, but was well wide, and we've got a tie at 8.
We talked about Indiana playing very clean volleyball in the first set, Nebraska playing clean volleyball in the second set. Both teams struggling from a hitting percentage perspective right now. Nebraska hitting 0, Indiana only hitting 100.
Another kill there by Stivrins off of Armstrong. Another look here.
Stivrins doing a nice job, again, keeping the ball in front of her, chasing after that slide. Even though it's off the net, full swing. Armstrong has nothing to do but protect her face.
Good pace by Edwards on the tip.
Nebraska's running a defensive system where that tip behind the block is Lexi Sun's responsibility. She has to come all the way from left front behind the block to catch that tip, and that can lead to some communication errors.
Good kill by Sun on the left side.
That deep corner spot is so tough to defend. She's swinging from such a high contact point. She can go over the block, hit that deep court.
Into serve now for Nebraska. The first time in the match is Haley Dinsberger. Dinsberger, the defensive specialist out of Malcolm, Nebraska, just outside of Lincoln. Tough serve by Dinsberger. And it leads to the point for Nebraska.
A trap set there, not much that Indiana can do, but Nebraska ready to take advantage of it.
Dinsberger was Nebraska's 2019 Lifter of the Year. Started off the season in a battle with Megan Miller for that DS serve specialist role. No touch point for Nebraska.
Lifter of the Year, that's a big honor in the state of Nebraska, and I know something that Coach Cook really puts a lot of emphasis on.
Dinsberger, one of those grinders. Edwards with another kill. She now has 12 and in double digits for the 4th time in 5 matches.
And that's the matchup that Indiana wants. Brianna Edwards hitting over Nicklin Hames. Again, Nicklin, an aggressive setter, but a smaller blocker when she's in the front row, trying to take up space, but doesn't necessarily have the physicality to really be an attack-type blocker.
So Brizak now back in that 6-2 offense that the Hoosiers are running to set out of the back row. Knuckles steps in after Hames took the first touch. Not down. Big block, and you can see how far that ricocheted off of a huge swing from Edwards.
Victoria Brzak keeping her team in this point, didn't ultimately get the point, but as a 6-2 setter, she's got to think about defense. When you run in a 5-1, half the time, all the setter's thinking about is setting. When you're running a 6-2, you're 50-50 defense setting.
Ran the quick to the middle to Lofton. Brzak out to the pin, pounded away by Edwards. Was there a touch? Doesn't look like it, and point for Nebraska.
A really low, hard swing. That's why Indiana's thinking there's a touch, that it was such a low swing it had to go through the block, but just misses, goes through the middle.
As Sweet gives Nebraska the 5-point lead. Nebraska on a 6-1 run. Huskers being led by 10 kills from Lauren Stivrins, who leads the conference, hitting better than 500 inside the league. On the Boilermakers' home floor. And so this Nebraska team will travel to West Lafayette. Good feed to Lofton.
Nebraska's serving strategy, get Bree Edwards out of that offense, force her to pass, and they do that. Lofton able to step up and fill that offensive role.
It's one of the ways that you can try to counter a 6-2 offense is serve tough to one of those hitters in the front row to eliminate options.
Right, so they've got 3 hitters all the time. If you can serve one of them, get them out of their rhythm, then it puts you back even 2 hitters.
Lexi Sun will go back to serve now after the kill. Free ball over. Block at the net by Schwarzenbach. Back to Sweet. And she was one-on-one on Bierman and put it away.
Tasha Lofton with the nice chicken wing cover, I like to call it. But then she's staying on Schwarzenbach in the middle, gives Jazz Sweet a one-on-one. She has a nice lefty swing, sometimes hard to track on the block where you should line up against a lefty, and that gives her that sharp angle cross court.
You see Jazz with 10 kills hitting .318. We talked earlier in the match how she's really kind of been up and down over these last 9 matches for Nebraska. That's a big block by Maddie Kubik.
We talked in the open about Nebraska being #1 in the Big Ten, keeping their opponents' hitting percentage to 139 on average. Here in the current set, Indiana hitting 0, only 87 on the total match.
Nebraska on top here in the third by 7. That program, which I still believe is the only Power 5 school to never win a game in the NCAA tournament. Fred Hoiberg will try to change that in Lincoln. Kill by Kendall Bierman. Out of the timeout. So a good timeout by Steve Aird. His team has responded out of timeouts. Good pass by Knuckles, keeps Nebraska in system, allows them to run the middle, and Schwarzenbach with the kill.
Nice connection there between Hames and Schwarzenbach. That 31, 32, whatever you want to call it, push away from the setter is one of the hardest sets to connect on. It's so fast, it's a first tempo ball, but there's space for error, so that connection is a challenge, but they execute flawlessly there.
One-handed, kept alive. Boy, out of system, and I think she had one choice, and the one choice was Stivrins. And Stivrins put it down for an 11-3 Nebraska run.
Stivrins all over the place on this play and doesn't approach straight into the setter, doesn't have time to get off the net and come back in straight into the setter. That's that middle mentality that I'm going to be up in the air no matter what, every ball, and I'm expecting the ball to come to me.
One-on-one, not down, bump set, Sweet with the tip. Nearly a pancake by Armstrong, but Sweet picks up her 11th kill of the match. She's hitting better than .320, and another timeout called on the floor.
Most freshman setters are only thinking about setting one thing, and as a sophomore she's been able to develop that defense even more. She's thinking defense first when she's in the back row and then setting.
She played club volleyball for her father, high school volleyball for her mother. That's a very high IQ volleyball family. She has a younger sister, does Nicklin Hames, a younger sister who's playing at Pepperdine. Kaylee is an outside hitter at Pepperdine. She was a first-team All-American, top setter in the country out of high school.
And intangibles, too, not just the technicality and the skill, but intangibles as a competitor for this Nebraska team. Not many freshman setters have the confidence to lead their team to the national championship game like Nicklin did last year.
62 assists she had in that national championship game last year against Stanford, which became an instant classic between Nebraska and Stanford. Swings long there by Jazz. Nebraska still 3 away from going up 2-1 here in Bloomington. Fitzner now will serve. Little floater from Fitzner, one-handed set out to Kubik, and then put down, but they're going to call in the net on Nebraska.
Lauren Stivrins not happy with that, apologizing to her setter. Sometimes in overpasses you can get too aggressive. As a hitter, you think of those as automatic. Those are my kills, and you can get over-aggressive going after them.
That ends a 3-zip run. Oh, check that, makes it a 4-zip run for Nebraska on the kill by Stivrins. "13 kills, 4-17 in the night for Stivrins. And the kill by Stivrins ended Indiana's 3-zip run, and now puts Nebraska 1 away from going up 2-1.
Interesting on that Bierman error. You hear her teammates saying high line, and that's the matchup that Coach Aird talked about, wanting to hit over Nicklin Hames, but she misses sharp cross.
Agnieszka Szabo now into the front row. Szabo out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Lincoln High School.
Trying to take away that matchup.
And right off of the hands of Szabo on the kill by Bierman.
So the idea is to bring in Szabo so that Bierman has a bigger block in front of her. She does have a bigger block in front of her, but Bierman skilled with the into the block and away shot.
So that will bring up set point number 2 for the Huskers. On the slide. Crafty swing there by Lauren Stivrins.
Sometimes a little off speed is all you need.
14 kills in the match for Stivrins to lead Nebraska, and they lead it 2-1.
Fun.
Well, Steve Aird, clearly an outstanding volleyball mind and volleyball coach, but not far behind in his skill set is marketing, as he has done a terrific job here in just year number 2. And I think what excites Steve Aird about the future at Indiana are a couple of things. One, it's the commitment that this university has made to volleyball, and I think there is no better evidence than the facility that you're looking at tonight here at Wilkinson Hall. The second is just geographically, how much great volleyball there is in the area and what his recruiting base could be.
And he's happy about the progress that they're making this year, but also very excited about the recruiting class coming in next year.
They'll say that was down even at 1. Well, we mentioned earlier that Emily Fitzner, the freshman setter out of Torrey Pines High School in San Diego, California, is the first ever first-team AVCA All-American to commit to Indiana. We're talking to Steve Aird about that and how culturally you have to have that first one and it begins to change. And he said he's every bit as excited as the next class, which he thinks will be the best ever in the history of Indiana. One football coach used to say it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, right? And in this case, the James and the
Jills.
There you go, the Jills and the James. Thank you, I appreciate you stepping in there, Phil. Lofton now back to serve for Indiana. Maybe one of the better swings of the night for Callie Schwarzenbach. Great timing from Nicklin Hames.
Starts with a great pass by Kubik. I mentioned earlier, teams are going after her in serve receive. She has far more reception attempts than anyone else on her team, but she gives a nice three-point pass up to Hames, and Schwarzenbach with a cutback shot.
And that swing, another BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Schwarzenbach looking to be more of an offensive threat like her counterpart at middle, Lauren Stivrins. Sweet pulled inside, tried the angle, but point for Indiana. Well, IU has continued to stay close in battle, even when they were down late there in set number 3. Stivrins again. She now has 15.
Leading her team, 15 kills, hitting 440, really finding that groove with Nicklin Hames on that tough push 31 set.
Served by Megan Miller. Stivrins with the big block on the right side.
And some attitude from Nicklin Hames after the block. She knows that they want to hit against her, that they're feeding their outsides so that they can have the matchup pumped up when she can get Stivrins over there to close that block. 4 strong hands over the net.
There are a couple things that she will give you, and that's Hames. One of those is attitude, there's no doubt. At one point last year in her freshman year, she was warned for staring across the net after a big block. But she brings the energy.
Something you can't coach.
Trust it, Megan.
Hames chases it down, out to Kubik. Good block there by IU. Nice cover there by Armstrong to keep that alive. On the slide, Stivrins again, and that's just tough to stop. 16 kills for Stivrins. That is a season high for the middle blocker from Nebraska.
And a good read by Hames. Brianna Edwards not there, she's on the other side of the court switching. Hames in a press conference, I heard her say she can feel the blockers on the other side move. She can feel when they're not there intuitively and set that open spot.
Out of bounds, point Cornhuskers.
Nebraska opening up now a 7-3 lead here in set number 4, on top 2-1.
Come on, big girl, you got it.
Another tough serve, a little tight to the net. Back row, Sun, good up Armstrong. Nicklin Hames with the kill.
Her teammates loving it, some more attitude. Setters love it when they get a chance to swing. Nice dig here. Nicklin does a great job of getting her feet there, taking a strong swing.
Nebraska on top here in set number 4, 8-3. Lost. Nebraska trying to join Penn State and Minnesota at 8-1, and Michigan, well, they gave Minnesota all it wanted tonight in a 5-set loss. Good short serve there by Miller. Tip try, good up. Nope, they're going to say down. Point for Indiana. And John Cook goes right to the card immediately.
Point for Indiana. There's a challenge on the play by Nebraska.
So our second challenge from John Cook.
I like when coaches take their challenge cues from the women on the court. If everyone turns to the bench and says, "That was up, coach," and the coach respects your reaction and throws that challenge card, I think it says a lot about the trust that coaches have for their players.
So the entire hand needs to be underneath the ball.
Right, no part of the ball hitting the ground.
Nicklin Hames was less concerned about the call and more concerned that she just lost a kill. Had a nice pineapple to the deep corner. Let's cook it again. So the question is certainly looks up, but is there enough evidence to overturn?
That ball hits a lot of her hand.
Yeah.
Difficult to say if no part of it hits the floor, but it sure hits a lot of her hand. And the ball, after it bounces up, you see the trajectory change a little bit, some backspin.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't happen if it was just bouncing off the ground. Another look here, hand under the ball.
Call is confirmed.
So they say the call is confirmed, which means it's down, and
Substitution in the game, number 8 for Indiana, making fours to serve.
point for Indiana. Back row. Good swing by Lexi Sun, brought back in. It'll be a free ball here for Nebraska. Hames out to Kubik. Touch and kill for Maddie Kubik.
Fitzner did a nice job digging Lexi Sun's strong back row attack. But if you give Nebraska another chance, especially off a free ball, they're eventually going to get you.
And Kubik now back to serve. Kubik from an athletic family as well. Her mom played volleyball at Missouri State. Dad played football at Missouri State. Spent some time with the Kansas City Chiefs as well.
Nebraska called in the net on that joust overpass. Point for Indiana.
Haley Armstrong now back to serve, the freshman out of Ontario, Bishop Redding High School. She was training on that Canadian junior national team before heading to IU. Stiverins tried the deep corner. Point for Nebraska, 8-2 Husker run.
And every now and then I like to do a few points for all the young volleyball players watching out there, Larry, and this is one I like to highlight. You see Nebraska's defense go all the way to the line and know that ball's out. When you have your foot on the line, you know that if it's outside your body, the ball is out. Don't stand in the middle of the court and guess if the ball's out.
Into the game now, Huber's back in for Indiana. And back to serve is Brizback. Check that, Brizak. She led Indiana last year when they ran the 5-1, now running at 6-2 offense. Schwarzenbach on the slide, and a solo block by Cameron Malloy. Nice block by Malloy.
Cameron does a nice job of following Callie out there, and she sees that Callie's overran the ball. When you overrun the ball, you really only have one option, hit cross court. And so Cameron dives into that cross court seam. Smart blocking.
Good pass there by Knuckles off of a really nice short serve from Indiana. Leads to the kill by Lexi Sun. And in case you missed it earlier, we mentioned that Capri Davis is not in the lineup or on the roster with Nebraska, did not travel as she has an indefinite medical leave of absence. She was dealing with a abdominal strain earlier in the year, missed several matches. So she has played in 9 matches this year for Nebraska. Still has an opportunity for a medical red shirt. And Lexi Sun with another kill.
Indiana really going after Kubik in serve receive. Out of system pass. Nicklin Hames does a nice job running through that bump set. Indiana's block has a hole. Lexi Sun with great vision, keeping the ball in front of her, swinging right through that seam.
Sun hitting 154, 9 kills, 5 errors on the night. Good swing by Lofton. Brizak on the tip try, not there by Edwards. Push deep corner. Boy, what a great push by Jazz Sweet. Saw the deep corner. You can hear the Nebraska coaches telling her where to put that.
Not a lot of options for Jazz. Like I said, getting some help from the coaches. Pushing it all the way deep. A tough play back there for Cameron Malloy.
One of the things that second-year assistant Jalen Reyes out of BYU really does well. He typically is crouched right there by the court and barking instructions in terms of what the block is doing, where to go. There's a look at Jalen Reyes in his second year. Great volleyball family. His dad, Tino Reyes, was the women's head coach at Hawaii Hilo and a men's assistant for 17 years at Hawaii. And Jalen played at BYU. And another kill by Jazz Sweet. That is 12, and Nebraska in the middle of a 4-zip run. And that will force Steve Aird to take a timeout. Nebraska on top. Hashtag BTM block party. Good short serve and the ace by Lexi Sun.
No one ever tries to hit the tape, but it sure is nice when it hits it and goes over. Very difficult for defenses to respond to.
Come on, let's adjust it. Good call.
Short again. Overpass. Overset and put down by Sweet. That was just a really tough ball to handle.
Nice short serve, forcing Hayden Hubers. And a little flick of the wrist. Brizak can't better the ball, and Jazz Sweet takes advantage. Nice easy overpass.
Pushed, was it down? No, wide, point Nebraska. 18-8 here in the fourth. So Nebraska beginning to exert itself here in set number 4 with a 10-point advantage and 7 away from a 3-1 win here in Bloomington. It's a 7-0 Nebraska run. And those short serves from Sun have been causing some trouble. Got it in system there, and that's what Edwards can do when in system.
I like the adjustment that Indiana made on their serve receive, pulling Hayden Hubers out of there, out of the serve receive, having Cameron Malloy come up and take that short ball, gives them more options on the attack.
Daisha Lofton now will serve. Off the touch, Kubik with the kill, rewarded after a good pass by Nicklin Hames.
2/3 of that play for Kubik, carrying a big load again for this Nebraska team, playing 6 rotations. She's in the serve receive and teams are going after her. She's taking a majority of the serve receive.
Well, those 22 kills she had against Purdue were the most for a Nebraska freshman since another pretty good Nebraska freshman and player.
Jordan Larson.
Close, even closer. A two-time MVP in the national championship.
Michaela Fecke.
Michaela Fecke.
Both greats.
Down point for Indiana. Boy, Nebraska's scoring very balanced tonight, thanks to the job that Nicklin Hames has done. 3 players with double-digit kills, and Maddie Kubik just 1 kill away from also being in double digits. There's Stivrins, and that is a new regular season career high for Lauren Stivrins. 17 kills is her regular season high. You might remember last year she had 19 in the national championship against Stanford.
Stivrins shown that she can carry 2/3 of a play there. Taking the serve receive, getting right in rhythm, strong approach, and putting it down.
Powering through that block and a big swing from Edwards. Yeah, she's been impressive tonight.
That's some of the banging we saw her do in the first set when Indiana took that from Nebraska, just swinging hard through that block. She pushes the block back.
Megan Coors now with a tough serve. Good pass by Knuckles. And a solo block at the net. Jackie Armour.
Jackie did a nice job of lining up here. You see Stivrins coming in with that sharp angled approach. So Jackie at the last second sees that angle and drops in.
Came out on fire early tonight, taking set number 1 from Nebraska. Huskers have rebounded to take 2 and 3 and trying to close out the 4-set win here in the 4th. Good one-handed up by Sun. Roll shot, not down by Kubik. What a pretty aggressive swing by Malloy, but Nebraska's block was there.
This Indiana team not wanting to go away, fighting hard on defense, keeping the ball off the ground, giving themselves several opportunities. Nicklin's there with Stivrins hip to hip, pushing 4 hands over.
3-0 D, let's go.
Off the top of the block, Lexi Sun picks up kill number 12.
Tight set for Lexi. She doesn't have a lot of options, not a lot of angles when you're put that tight up against the block. Very smart decision to swing high into the hands, take advantage of that block in front of you.
Here in this 4th set, Nebraska hitting 345. And for the match, Indiana is hitting 105 and another Nebraska block as the blocks continue to rack up for Nebraska. That is the 10th block of the night for the Huskers.
10th block of the night, but the blocking stats don't always show you exactly what's going on with the block. They're getting so many touches that are keeping this Indiana team from getting kills. Really excellent defense blocking all around.
On the slide, sent back across. Stivrins calling for it again, and there's the 3rd kill of the night for Nicklin Hames. Nicklin has really become much more offensive over the last 4 matches. She now has 12 kills, hitting above 400 in her last 4 matches for Nebraska.
I like a setter that's willing to take the second ball over. It does so much to keep the opponent's block honest. The middle is always going to be thinking about sitting with that setter, and if for 1 second, that'll open up the pin hitters.
Kill by Malloy. Match point number 2 upcoming for Nebraska. Armstrong will serve. That pulls Hames off the net. Sun got an aggressive swing. And Alexi Sun kills her 12th of the night, and Nebraska wins it in 4.
We talked about Nebraska coming into this match, leading the Big Ten in opponent hitting percentage, holding opponents to only 139.